All right, welcome back to Forging the Future, episode 4. We've decided that this is now 4 because of the fabled lost episode 2. So we're finally going to get back on the track with the right numbering system this time. As you may notice, Will is not here today.
It's not Will, by the way, guys.
No, shocker, I know. I'm subbing in today.
We got Specs back in the studio for his second appearance on the podcast.
And I will let our esteemed guest take it away and introduce himself.
Sure. My name is Mehren. I typically introduce myself as the reluctant spokesperson and fattest baby, one of the fatter babies. I own and operate Fat Baby Hot Sauce here in Grand Rapids.
So if you didn't know, for our Inferno Challenge that we have, and you'll probably see when we post this podcast, we use a lot of the Fat Baby Hot Sauces on the Inferno Challenge, which we enjoyed very much, by the way.
Yeah. We used 3 of the different Fat Baby Hot Sauces. We used the Peach Bum and the Breakfast Baby. We actually didn't use the Mojito. We used the Peach Bum, the Breakfast Baby for the more mild side, and then as it got to the top, we did the Ed Teaches.
Yeah.
And that Ed Teaches was very integral to the contest because that was the turning point. That was when the sauces turned from it's okay, it's a little bit more mild to okay. If you can't handle this one, back out.
Okay, cool.
Unfortunately for me, who thought I could back out mainly around that one, like okay, it's starting to get hot, I can back out. Everyone did every sauce.
Oh no.
So I couldn't be the one person to not do everything. So.
And Will actually encouraged us to use more sauce
than everybody else was using.
Everybody else.
Everybody else had to use 25%. And Zeus and I were coating the dang thing. So,
and that's a turning point, not just in heat. That's a turning point in flavor. You start to lose flavor.
You start to lose flavor after that one, yeah. Yours, and not just kissing your butt here, but yours was the last one that tasted good. So it was, the last 2 were just hot. It's just too much.
That's the conceit, right? Typically with hot sauces, right? You're either doing something small batch and gourmet, or you're trying to do something that's more challenging. I don't know. It's culinarily speaking, it's a pain contest up there, and that's what we didn't want to do. I have a point where I don't like it either anymore. Yeah, that's how we do. We make sauces.
What's the perfect ratio, in your opinion, between heat and flavor in a hot sauce?
So there's there's 2 different ends of that spectrum, right? So anything with a little bit of spice, as long as it's got a lot of good flavor, is okay in my book. For me, the balancing act is really trying to get not just the flavors to marry, but like the tones. So I mean, you can make a Reaper sauce or you can make a Ghost sauce, and those are going to have a very distinct flavor. But it's the other flavors that you want to play with that they're quickly overpowered by some of those peppers or those chilies. So it's really about how you balance those. I don't know that I want a sauce without flavor. So for me, the perfect balance is it's always got to be there. There's got to be a balance of that.
Right. And I can appreciate the people who like the much hotter sauces. Honestly, your Peach Bum and the Breakfast Baby are kind of more my speed most of the time. But I can appreciate the need for a hotter sauce for people because where I used to work, my bosses there would just devour spice. I mean, we'd go out for like Thai, and they'd be getting the most spicy plus whatever you can get. But
and Thai's known for that pretty well too. Thai always has a really good balance of both its flavor and spice. Yeah. Until you get to that point where
it's just too much.
What are you trying to do here?
Right, and I appreciated that even though the Ed Teaches was like a little bit outside of my usual comfort zone, I still tasted something.
Still had flavor.
The next one we did was Da Bomb, and that's just like a chemical fire in your mouth. It's just painful.
That's it. It's just full of compound, right? It's full of the capsaicin, which is at some point. So the pain receptors are all on your tongue, right? So the capsaicin binds with those pain receptors, and I just refuse to believe that the more of those you add, the more the taste buds just go up down.
And it achieved its goal of getting some good reactions out of people, but it wasn't. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's put some of that in my food. No, I mean,
and we want to play up at that end as well, but we want to do it in a way that's typically a little more unique or a little more. Something you wouldn't normally see. For us, we do have a sauce coming in June that is entirely, so all of our sauces have a balance of all different kinds of peppers. So chilies and bells, we give it a good full body kind of flavor. Mm-hmm. For our heat, we went with just the hots for this sauce. This Vintage 22. We're farm to bottle, so we have a farm in Gladwin, Michigan, that's got an acre of peppers. We pulled off just shy of a ton. Oh wow! 1 ton of peppers this year. So pretty excited about that, and it's allowed us to do a ton of stuff. What we have coming is like a blend of all of those hots in June. So awesome. Vintage 22 will be coming out. Currently, it's in a whiskey barrel aging.
Oh wow! Okay.
We were at a show in Detroit, and just, like you said, some of those folks are there to see how hot they can take it. And when Ed wasn't hot enough for him, we pulled out a moonshine bottle of this sauce.
Right. How long do you age the peppers?
That's going to be this is the first time we've aged a sauce, and it'll be just till June. So it'll be it was barreled last 2 weeks ago. And it'll age.
Because I know companies like Tabasco age their peppers for about 3 years.
Yeah, a long time. In their aging, they're fermenting as they're doing it. We've stopped fermentation prior to this process.
Right. Okay.
We don't ferment any of our peppers. Couple reasons. I'm not a huge fan of that flavor profile. Okay. And then the other reason is you're either if you're as a food manufacturer, you're either fermenting or you're making botulism. So you want to be really careful about food safe stuff with fermenting for sure.
Is there a benefit?
Maybe hold it for a bit. I have no idea what they're doing up there.
They were sitting out in the lobby.
So they're all moving their chairs back.
Should be done. Is there a benefit to growing your peppers in Michigan? Does Michigan soil provide any benefit to the growth process?
I don't know. I would doubt that we have like a leg up on anybody. Right. Most of the peppers being grown in the United States are being grown on a large scale in New Mexico, those arid regions. What we have is a really short season, and it's really, Michigan summers can be really, really hot and wet, and then dry for a long time. Yeah. And then and so that's a stress factor for the plants. Anytime you don't water them as much, or anytime you get it really, really hot outside and they're not getting as much water, or they're getting more water than stress on the plants actually increases the capsaicin in the plant. So I suspect we grow pretty hot peppers comparatively, but I have no scientific data to back that up.
Right.
Just pride.
Yeah, I mean, you know a lot more than me. I didn't even know you could age hot sauce until right now. So that's cool. I guess I've heard that with wine, obviously.
Sure, and this is the new rage, right? Everybody's doing barreled stuff. Trying to extract flavors from the barrel that were there previously. This sauce has a couple liters of bourbon in it already.
Oh, wow.
So, we're pretty excited about it. We hope it has a pretty strong bourbon profile. If you've ever, had hot sauce and hot food and then had a whiskey with it, it burns pretty good. It's pretty significant up factor on both burns. And so we're pretty excited about it. We think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like the flavor of bourbon. I've been getting into it a little bit more recently. A friend of mine got me onto it and showed me a couple nice bourbons. It's interesting because just a little while ago when I was in college, it's like at that point in your life you don't really care about the good taste of alcohol. You just need something to get you there, it's interesting having stuff that's actually smooth, and now I love that flavor. I'm a big fan of Dragon's Milk.
Oh yeah,
and that has that bourbon. So I'm interested to try that sauce. That sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Are you looking for people to pair that sauce with like a drink or?
So we have a really, really good friend. Her name's Katie McAvoy. She's an author in town, and she does. She's got a blog called Mitten Girl, and she does a lot of pairings and cocktails for folks. We will be sitting down hopefully with her when that comes out, maybe to do a larger tasting for folks too. Yeah. I have been. I was unsure of how this was going to go from where my energies were going to be used. Right. And I love being at the table at an event and folks tasting the sauce. It's just, there's something bizarrely, it used to be a musician for a long time. It's that same kind of vibe, but like when people are giving it back to you, like, oh man, this is awesome. You're like, great. Yeah. I'm glad you love it. This is the deal. Good. Well, yeah. I made it. You like it. That's the deal.
Yeah, it's fulfilling. It's definitely fulfilling. I get the same thing here. Yeah. So I started a couple months ago. More than a couple months ago. Time's flown since May, right?
almost soon.
Yeah, so that's. But ever since I got here, it's been interesting because I think our direction for social media before was more focused on a lot of print, a lot of just graphic work, and I've kind of moved that and kind of helped Jeff kind of shift that into the video side. And now we got Jesus helping us on it, and I get a lot of compliments on little safety videos and stuff I made. Like, that was really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it makes you feel like, wow, everything I'm doing is worth it.
For sure.
So,
and in this, so on the corporate side of stuff, so my last company, I owned an e-learning company for about 10 years. Still own it. It's hard to get that sometimes. It's hard to extract that in a corporate world, right? So I'm glad you're finding it, man.
Yeah. I mean, the feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you can attest to that too.
Oh, the feedback is amazing. We've been doing things that we've never done before.
Yeah.
Spencer and Jeff were here, so.
Yeah, because you have been
with the company for about 4 years.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot on the vertical video for TikTok and stuff too, and kind of trying to move into that side of it.
Before we started the podcast, you mentioned that you've been doing all of that social media stuff on your own, and I could see the learning curve that you're having right now, and what I'm experiencing also, where I'm like, didn't know anything of how to create a video, and now Spencer has shown me a couple of things, and it's just a process.
It's a long process of guessing and checking what's working, and I mean, we're doing the same thing right now.
Sure.
I mean, we're like just the other day, one of our clips all of a sudden got like almost 400 views, and the one before that had 10. So we're like, okay, how do we capture this? How do we? So
that's good. That's a good and how.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to ask you too, because we've been talking a little bit about your business, and how did I know you had mentioned you have some other ventures, but specifically with the hot sauce, how did you get started on that?
So, being an entrepreneur for most of my life, and having friends that are influential kind of in the business world, and skilled in what they do. Too many campfires, man, sitting around, and somebody's like, hey, this is delicious, right? So you just start as a passion. You just start making sauce. You have a little garden. Next year it goes from 10 plants to 170 plants, and your wife's like, what the hell are you doing?
Just builds. Right.
And then when you move the pepper farm up north to the farm up north, then she gets pretty excited because now she's got all this room for her flowers. So.
Right.
No, it starts as a hobby, and it grows into something where enough people tell you that it's quality in a way that they're not used to. Like, hey, not just pulling your chain here. This is great.
Yeah.
Like, you should make this.
Yeah.
You hear that enough times, and say it enough to an entrepreneur, and they're gonna take you up on it. So some of our friends that had the ability to get something off the ground, their statement is, "Do it, let's do it." So,
okay.
And I assume you also seen the growth factor in starting a hot sauce company, right?
Yeah.
Like on Fortune Business Insights, it says that the hot sauce market is expected to grow from 2.8 billion to 4.7 billion by 2029.
Yeah. It was when we sat down to do the pro forma for the business and sit down and really settle on a business plan and kind of decide what the future would look like. Those stats just kept pouring in, and they change every year, right? And they only seem to be getting bigger. Hot Ones is a huge factor in that, but I don't think it's the only thing. I think Hot Ones is an expression of the movement more than it is the driver of the movement.
Right.
So, folks younger than me, the generation younger than mine, millennials, I guess you'd call that large group. You guys gobble up hot sauce like it's water.
Yeah.
We're Gen Z, so it might be even more true. We're right on that verge. I've been called both. I've been called a zillennial.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Whatever we are,
I've
noticed it.
My son's in high school, and my son who just graduated high school, they love it. They eat it like crazy. They're like, this is the greatest business you've had. This is the best one so far.
Yeah, the business where we get free food.
You said it was a movement. Where do you attribute that to? Like, why is there suddenly a love for hot sauce?
So, I don't know. But I know a couple. I think I have an idea of a couple things. I think that, I don't know if you guys heard this. It was like a year ago. I heard this most horrifying kind of sad statement. It was like ranking of foods by the country and what they really bring to the table, and it was like ranch. America's was ranch. That's what we brought to the culinary world was ranch. Yeah. And I think that pisses a lot of people off. That like look at American food and go, no, it is American food is just like America. It is this mass. I'm like, go to New Orleans and try to say, okay, this food is X. I mean, there's just so much variety.
I love Creole type dishes. So it's like the variety of dishes we have in the U.S. It's like don't get me wrong, love ranch dressing.
Sure.
But for that to be our biggest contribution, for that to be what other countries see us as culinary wise, like you're right. That is sad.
And so I don't know if the movement is because of that, right? Like it's like in reaction to that. But the movement is being embraced, I think, because it seems to be, while the sauces aren't always necessarily made here, it seems to be like definitely a thing, an American thing. Like we love hot sauce.
Yeah.
And the world loves hot sauce. The world loves chilies and has forever. So much so that the Chinese thought they were theirs. They thought they were indigenous, and they weren't. Right? They come from South America. So it's just nuts how people adopt these foods.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. I think it is like, hey, that's something that can be ours. Right. Let's dive into it.
That's an interesting concept, because in terms of like, I think another part of it too, because I know you mentioned like the hot ones, and I think that is big, but I think maybe it's part of just internet culture in general.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have so much more room for reaction type content, and hot sauce is something that lends itself very well to that. I mean, we just had our version of the contest not too long ago, so I'm sure it is so many factors, it's hard to just boil it down to one thing, but I mean, the growth is great. I think a lot of people face the stigma of if you don't like spice, then you just don't have enough of a flavor profile, and you don't have enough. So I've been
I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I can't, I don't want to try that. I'm a wuss," or "I'm a baby." And that's something we want to move away from. For me, there is something to a chili that's very unique flavor that is like something you can't get anywhere else. And for us, we're very interested in moving this across to folks that would be into it. So trying right now to think, I mean, our name lends itself to it very well, but we're trying right now to consider and think about ways we can get our sauce to younger consumers even. Yeah. So can we get, is there a sauce for not babies maybe, but toddlers, can we start to introduce them to that flavor profile a little earlier?
Right.
So it becomes look around the world, kids in other cultures eat hot food all the time. So it's unusual. So
growing up in a Mexican household, I've experienced a lot of heat. A lot of heat in a lot of our foods. So whether it was just a regular dish or whether it was candy, they managed to put heat in anything. Yeah. Where did your love for heat develop?
Just kind of in line with what we're talking about. I think it's something heat is taught. It's a learned behavior. No, growing up with my dad, who just loved hot food and would dry chili peppers. For me, it's the ag part of it too. It's that part in the field or in the garden. Excuse me. I loved watching him tend to his peppers, and I don't know if you've ever been in a big field of chilies or in a garden with a ton of chilies. It is, when we talked about China, it's valued by cultures for its because it's just, there's so many fruit, right? It's just it's so fertile. And it's a symbol of fertility, right? Because one single plant, there's just all these flowers. It's wild. So I think that side of it drew me in, watching him in there, and then I learned to eat hot stuff, and then I think some of that's in your blood too. You either like it or you don't. Yeah.
It just makes me so interested to grow, because growing up, right before I was born, we had a large family farm, and when that kind of broke down and people kind of abandoned that and kind of started doing their own thing. We had a large garden in our backyard where my grandparents would come, and they'd honestly overplant because they'd have so much produce out there that we would just be giving it away. And we grew a lot of things, but we never grew chilies. The most peppers we did were bell peppers.
Which is a chili.
Yeah, it is. But obviously not too much spice to that. No. So it is interesting to think about. I'll have to look into that after, because that does sound. So there's just a ton on each plant.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the different varieties have different kind of yields.
Right.
But, for instance, the white habanero it's a bean it's probably like some of them get like that big, but they're longer and teeny, and there are hundreds and hundreds on a single plant. It's insane.
Wow.
You almost like think like blueberries, like that kind of volume.
Really?
It's wild.
I guess I never would have imagined that for peppers.
Yeah, and then they hide too, right? So if you go and you pull the bushes apart, it's just they're just loaded.
Yeah, it's like picking strawberries growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to that middle, and that's where the boundary.
Exactly.
But that's really interesting.
The question on the name: why Fat Baby?
Well, so I figured this question was going to come up. My partners and I are kind of debating on the answer to this question, but honestly, it comes from a trip to New Orleans. We were riding all around the city, and get the bike butt where you're so sore from riding.
Yeah.
We sat down at a bar, and I said, "Man, I would kill for a fat baby to sit on right now." We just started laughing, and it just stuck, and we became the Fat Baby Biker Gang, and it just stuck, and that was maybe 15 years ago, and it's been kind of like bubbling around in the back as a funny company name. Should we ever
it definitely is eye catching. You know, when you say Fat Baby, you get a lot of we got a lot of raised eyebrows and stuff when we were showing off the sauces and stuff before we started going. So.
We had some debate on the ethics of promoting childhood obesity. But we decided people could take a joke.
I mean, hey, some babies are born fat,
it's designed to be. They're designed to be fat. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's
so they don't break stuff.
My mother has always been into fat cheeks on babies.
That's right.
I think the term fat baby brings a lot of people some joy,
happy memories.
Yeah,
it should. Yeah. And they're good to sit on when you have that.
Is that why you also have some clothing on your website as well?
Yeah. Stuff for kids too. Yeah, even. So.
And you said you had a bike club.
That's just as a joke. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just as riding around. No, that'd be cool. Mm-hmm. But no.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I really like that. I think my favorite was the peach bum one that I tried. Sure. I like that I've had it and I've never had anything like it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because my palate for spices, I'd had some spicy food growing up, but I never would go much past a traditional buffalo or maybe a little further. Yeah. And more recently, my wife and I actually just got back from a honeymoon not too long ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And we did, one of the excursions we did when we went on a cruise was in Costa Maya. We had a salsa and salsa class. They teach you how to make salsa and then dance salsa.
Oh, fun.
And while we were doing that, we were mixing in tons of peppers that I'd never seen before.
Sure.
I forgot the name of it, but there's this one dried pepper that was a little bit more flat almost. Okay. Really interesting. I couldn't remember the name. And then some habanero and stuff and a couple different things. And it's I had only kind of dabbled in that, but recently between some of the salsa I had there and some of the hot sauce I've had from you and from different sources, it's man, I've been missing out because some of this spicy stuff it adds a flavor that nothing else truly can.
Yeah, and that's how we start. So when we approached our flavors, I've been working on them for, like I said, a couple of years. We worked backwards from food. So this is the food. What would be a cool pairing flavor-wise to go? And then you start to learn your peppers. You can start to understand what flavor profiles those are going to yield. Mm-hmm. If you provide them fresh or if you smoke them, they yield different kind of flavors. So I think what we wanted to do was try stuff try sauces we weren't seeing. Mm-hmm. Make sure that those sauces that we were making, we wanted to eat all the time.
Yes.
Because if we didn't want to eat it, we knew nobody was going to want it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we started, that's kind of how we started, and that's I think that's why ours still. I think that's why people say they man, this tastes good too, and which is wild to me. I can't
it's wild that that's not, why is that not the norm?
It should be an expected thing.
Yeah,
that should be an expected thing, and I think that's what we try. We want to be a condiment for folks. We want to be a go-to thing that they use up, not just let sit in there.
Yeah, not just be in the fridge for where did we even get this?
Right, exactly. Or that you found at some shop in Traverse. And, so that's where we landed. For me personally, I wanted to do things that weren't being done. So I was pushing while my partners were helping kind of keep us in line from a consistency and this is going to be good or it's not going to be good.
Right.
I'm out there on the kind of other end going, okay, this is what I want to do in the kitchen. This is the stuff I want to be trying, which yields stuff like peach bum, right? Which yields stuff like I had hot sauce accidentally slide into some peaches I was having, and I loved it. So I'm like, okay, now I got to find the right pepper for it, and that's kind of that's how some of that stuff comes about. You know, I love Sour Patch Candy. So I wanted to make a Sour Patch hot sauce.
That's interesting.
We have a Sour Baby hot sauce. And, you know, the mojito is one of my favorite drinks. So we worked in those directions, kind of from the food backwards and see if it can be a hot sauce or does it work with a hot sauce.
I love the branding on everything. The labels are fantastic.
Yeah, they're next level. We, so business is half luck. Half of it's luck.
Okay,
and a lot of it's spotting that luck in advance, right? Like seeing, okay, if I do this, I think we'll be lucky. But some of it just comes at you. The e-learning company, we had 7-8 people at our height. One of my creative directors was just out of this world, so much so that he got stolen and moved to Germany with working for another company over there. He works there now, and I just called him out of the blue. I'm like, hey man, this is what we're doing. I love your art. Will you do the labels?
Yeah.
And he said, sure, I'm gonna send one. If you don't like the one I send, you know, I don't have a ton of time. So I'm like, cool. He sent it. We were just like, oh my God, it's so good. Yeah. It's just so good. And then everyone has allowed me to do more creative stuff on the other side. So think about the verbiage that goes on the website or the verbiage that goes on the bottles. He's just so gifted. I can't say enough. We intend to put him forward for as many prizes as we can too. We think it's sick, and there's got to be. We know there's something called a Graphy. It's out of New York. It's some magazines, but it's for that kind of graphic design. It's next level. We couldn't believe how beautiful it was when we got stuff back.
I mean, awesome. It's all so distinct.
I like the fat baby with the tattoos on. What does it say on his arm?
Nola. It says Nola. Yeah, Nola.
Is that like a
New Orleans, Louisiana?
It was. The Ed Teaches Tonic. I didn't get the full extent of that until I was looking at trying to find some pictures to use for the contest video. Yeah. And it's Blackbeard. Yeah. And the label made so much more sense. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so the peppers, that name came to me based on after the sauce. So started using Trinidad Marugas, used some Reapers, was using some Caribbean Reds. And I'm like, man, this has got a cool kind of pirate. Like somebody, like this would be something. And, you know, we smoked it and I was like, oh yeah, this is, it's got to be Blackbeard. Just feels like something he'd really dig. Yeah. It's got this. The artist, you know, Mike, he just crushed that artist.
Oh, so heck yeah. It's got like the faded, like old map feel, and he's got the little singes on the end of his beard.
You know, that's what he used to do. Right? He used to coil up, fuses and put them in his beard and light them so he looked more terrifying.
Oh, yeah. I loved Pirates back then. Yeah. When I was little, I freaking loved Pirates. It was Pirates of the Caribbean, loved that. There was a video game I played a lot called Sid Meier's Pirates.
So it's funny. So you're 2 generations younger than me. Yes. So I played that game on the Commodore 64.
Oh, the original.
The original
Sid
Meier's.
The remake.
Actual.
Because he's been around for a long time.
One of the original game designers. Yeah. He's unbelievable. That's a great game.
He deserves his name in the titles of his games.
It's a fantastic game.
Because Sid Meier's Pirates.
It's not any different, by the way. The one you're playing, it's almost identical.
It's just like graphically.
Yeah, graphically a little better.
Interesting. Because like when I was little, I really had a hard time with it because I did not understand the ins and outs of the mechanics. I just like getting in sword fights.
Right. But you didn't know the trade.
Until I got to college and a couple of my friends started playing because we had the ultimate bachelor party set up. It was ridiculous. We had in our living room. It was like TV over here. Couches are all over the place. Sure. It was Bachelor Pad City. But at a time we kind of were competing with each other to see who could get further along in the game, who could do this and that. So even though it was single player, we had so much fun with that game and kind of reinvigorated my love of pirates. And I started looking into that stuff, the history and stuff of that again.
That's where it is for me too. So obviously the video game, but like the history side, I'm a history major, so that it's fascinating. and I gotta think he would have liked it. I feel like he would.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is from that area, right? Those peppers.
Yeah, that's where they originate, at least. Right? And he lived in the Carolinas. This is where he had his base on. So,
Yeah, is that so? Carolina Reaper. That was discovered in Carolina, or was that
actually? So I believe, and I don't want to misspeak, and it might be. So you can't hold me to this. I believe the Carolina Reaper was invented by a guy in Michigan, actually, by a Michigan grower.
Oh, well, come on, and gotta represent, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure why or maybe he lived in Carolina. I'm not sure the details, but my son, in doing some of our social work, kind of bumped into him. Okay. I'm pretty sure he a guy from Michigan. So
interesting.
Before you started your hot sauce company, what were your go-to hot sauces? If you had a list, what were your go-to hot sauces?
So if I'm in a restaurant and you ask for hot sauce, they do the list, right? We have Frank's, we have Tabasco, we have Cholula. Yeah. You got to get the Cholula every time, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
It's a superior sauce. Sadly, the number one ingredient is water, and so that's always a bummer, right? Because I always want to see chilies as the number one. Some of the sauces made here in Michigan, you flip the bottles over, and not dogging on anybody, but the number one ingredient is chili hot sauce. You're like, wait a minute, that's what this is.
You're starting with quite the base already there. Yeah.
It's just kind of wild. So it's a bummer, but it's so good, right? Cholula is so good. Some of that industrial stuff, like. On the scale that they're doing it, it's just hard to mess up at some point too, right? Like, so the consistency of that stuff is pretty awesome. Outside of that, I'm a gourmet guy, so I'm looking for like a bottle of Jindo's out of St. Charles, out of just South Chicago, stuff like that. Hellfire in Detroit's pretty good stuff. They've got a bourbon sauce that's pretty cool. But other than that, I think Cholula was probably my go-to from a big main offer. If I'm in a restaurant and have to pick one of those.
Right.
Cholula has good flavor.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting because it seems like then you more so part of what's starting the business was out of like a feeling of necessity, a feeling of duty to kind of inject the industry.
Sure. Well, sure. At least like, to be frank, I don't know if you're gonna find our bottles are laborious and expensive to make, so the price is a little high.
Yeah.
But and that might keep it from being on a restaurant table, right, over a large span.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a marketing outreach group, kind of concept going that we think we can partner with the right gastropubs. Then we can supply the sauce, and hopefully that'll lead to marketing. But that's what I think is we're talking about too, Jesus, earlier, is this movement, like this foodie movement in the younger sect is really kind of happening.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it in some of the really fine restaurants in town. The Frisian is like unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Really, really good stuff. What's the City Brew? What's City Brew? What is the on Monroe? City Bill.
Yes.
You can edit that. City Bill, good stuff. There's like just all these great little gastropubs going up, right? All the stuff on the west side along Pearl. Like the Mitten and all those. There's like a cider place down there.
Yeah,
it's just like crazy. And Two Scots is right across the street. Mm-hmm. So some of the best food in the city, I think, deserves to have some of the best hot sauce on their tables.
Yeah, no, and I totally would see because as of right now you're mainly just online vendor, right?
Yeah, and at events. That's actually so most of our has made at events, right? So
okay,
we were out at the mall 3 weeks ago. November 18th and 19th, we're at the International Wine, Beer, and Food Fest at the DeVos Place.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where, and that's, again, I think some of that is, both necessary at the start of to get us some traction going and meet some folks, but it's also like where I draw some of the juice too. So the joy of seeing people try is, it's good. I'm glad that the lucrative part of the business is on that side of it too. Those meet, and I'm happy. So
and you're getting the positive reinforcement.
Correct. On top of the sales.
Actually,
if you would be able to partner with any restaurant here in Michigan or Grand Rapids or wherever, what restaurant would you like to partner with?
Who would top of your list?
So I don't know, I'm not exactly sure where he's at now. It's more of a chef. I'm trying to, I'd really like to get the attention of, Chef Hawkins, and he did 40 Acres. He did a couple other major things. I think he's at a hotel restaurant right now.
Maybe it's more Go. I know that's really
is that
it may be. I'm not entirely sure. That's just me throwing something out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My wife's so much better at that stuff. But we know him through our kids, right? So our kids went to school together. Mm-hmm. I knew he's a chef, and then 40 Acres was so unbelievable. So it's more like that. Like, are there minds in town that we'd like to be, connected with, as opposed to like a place,
right?
So that should they want to, move or change restaurants or whatever, that we're still at the top of their brain, right? That's what we're hoping. That's what we are, right? We're a food company at the end of the day, and not trying to hurt anybody. We want our food to be used. So for us, chefs are like critical, and we don't consider ourselves, chefs in any way, but we sure do admire and respect those folks a great deal. And we'll hope that what we're making is something that they'd be like, damn, this is good stuff.
Yeah. No, for sure. I can definitely see the value in that. It's kind of approaching an artist instead of a business.
Correct.
Almost.
That's what
there is art in creating a hot sauce.
Oh yeah, and you can kind of, and from what I've experienced, because I went to film school actually, when you start talking to people about the thing that they're passionate about creating, it's a lot easier to make that relationship.
Sure.
So I totally see why you would go for the chef instead of the restaurant. The restaurant's probably looking more at the bottom line, the different. But like if you can get in touch with the chef, he'll understand where you're coming.
Yeah, and there's going to be a point where it makes financial sense for us too, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's also a point probably where they're like, okay, that's close enough.
Yeah.
And so for us, the chef's going to be that advocate, right? He's going to be the person saying, but it's amazing. Yeah, I know it's
elevated.
X price, but it's really good, and it's elevating my fish. The mojito is taking my fish to the next level, which is what we try to do when people are like, so what would you put this on? And we've thought a lot about that.
Yeah.
We've put it on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, typically if I'm at a tasting and someone's like, their breakfast baby, for instance, that's made because I gotta have hot sauce at breakfast.
Yep.
And I don't want it conflicting with stuff. I'd rather have it be an additive thing, right? So there's bacon and a smoky thing going on, then all right. Then we're doing the eggs justice, right?
It melds with it.
Correct.
Instead of
Who doesn't have hot sauce in breakfast? That's just...
I never used to, and then someone got me onto it, and I'm like, heck yeah.
Breakfast is the way.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Start your day off with a bit of an adrenaline booster. So, are we good on time? We're running out?
I got about 8 minutes, then I do gotta...
Okay. Awesome. Well, do we got any other questions here you want to... Did you have anything else to ask on the top of your mind? I wanted to make sure we hit everything we wanted to hit.
Reaction videos, we're probably not going to be able to do that.
We don't need to do that. We can save those for next
plugs,
time.
I guess? You want to do plugs?
Yeah, if you want to. Sure. We've kind of been talking about just the business, but where can people find you? And
sure. So always you can find our stuff at fatbabyhotsauce.com. All right. And November 18th and 19th we'll be at the Grand Rapids Beer, Beer and Food Fest. I'm thinking
about going there, so I might see.
Pretty cool. They said something like 20,000 people. So
oh wow,
that's insane.
I went like 2 years ago and it was really packed.
That's cool.
Hopefully you can make the right connections. I would love to see this get into stores and restaurants and stuff.
There's that's the kind of rub here too, right? So it's like as we think about what we want for the future, we want those relationships more so than I think I want to be on the shelf in Meyer.
Okay.
I'd rather be featured on Hot Ones than on the shelves.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd rather be thought highly of and part of the hot sauce community in a kind of fundamental, maybe cutting edge way.
Yeah.
But more so than turning it. So
yeah.
For us, and we're limited. We're farm to bottle, so we're limited by what we can grow, and we have pulled off the peppers we're going to make sauce with for the year, and that's it. So when it's gone too. So to a certain extent, we're kind of excited about seeing what that looks like. Yeah. So what does running out look like? A lot of the investors early were, hey, great. What if you sell the sauce out early.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh man, we got to figure that question out. Now I'm like, let's solve that question. Let's beat that bridge.
Right.
Burn that bridge when we get there. So for us, I think we just want to keep doing the right thing. We want to keep making good sauce and going to the right events, partnering with the right folks. That's it's kind of like, because retail is so wide and can be so big,
right?
Like it doesn't even make any sense to kind of consider this. I want to do step A, B, and C
with having quality over quantity.
Yeah,
more people are going to be attracted to this.
Yeah, and so from a partnership perspective, like this isn't our only game either, right? So we want what we got together and said was, hey, let's start a holding company that kind of holds all of our passions, and keep building those passions into the holding company until everything's rolling, and maybe we just get to do the things we want to do.
Yeah.
I got to go first. It just happened that way.
Yeah.
So mine's up and off. There's spirits in the mix potentially, and there's more music stuff, guitar stuff potentially. So lots of exciting things from a holding group. We just need to get those guys to a place where they can make those jumps too.
So it's exciting stuff. I can't wait to see where it goes from here, and I'm looking forward to possibly seeing you at the...
Oh, man, stop by the table, please.
Yeah,
please
awesome.
Stop by the table.
Will do. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It's been a great time here. But yeah, episode 4 in the wraps.
Episode 4 in the wraps.
Finally got the numbers straight. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
having me. It's been a really fun time, Nate.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you for the sauces, by the way.
Yes,
you're most welcome.
Oh yeah, those really elevated made our thing a little bit more legit.
Test or try any of them?
Yeah, so that'd be it'd be fatbabyhotsauce.com.
Correct.
All right, well check them out if you want to, and see you next time, guys.
Thank you.